So 1 year ago, my wife and I added the Capital One Venture X into our two-player credit card strategy. And even though I think that on paper, this card has the potential to be one of the best travel credit cards on the market, I've got to say that after using it for a little over a year now, I've been impressed with some features it has, but kind of disappointed with others. So in this video, I just want to go over my honest real-world experience with the Venture X here and how this card has actually performed, with 5 things that I don't really like about it, as well as 5 things that I do like, including this first thing here that's super valuable right as you get this card, which is the sign-up bonus. Now, currently, the standard welcome offer you'll find on the Venture X is for 75,000 Capital One miles after spending $4,000 in the first 3 months. And even though we have seen some slightly higher limited time offers in the past, 75,000 miles is normally what you'll find here. When we do the math, a bonus like that is going to be worth $750 at a minimum for travel at a value of 1 cent per mile, or with the transfer partners that you also get access to here on the Venture X. I usually try to aim to get at least 2 cents per mile or more, which makes this welcome offer worth potentially at least $1,500. But we'll talk more about transfer partners and one small negative that I have with that a little bit later on. Now, unfortunately for some people, the tough part about that sign-up bonus is that in order to get it, you're obviously going to have to get approved for the Venture X in the first place. And that is going to lead me to the first thing that I've learned to sort of dislike about this card and even just Capital One in general lately, and that is the higher than average difficulty with getting approved. Now, as always, your mileage may vary with approval odds on any credit card out there, but from my own personal experience in getting the Venture X, I was actually denied twice for this credit card, once back in January of 2023, and then again 7 months later in August 2023. However, on the same day that I got denied a second time, my wife Jackie applied as well and got approved instantly, and then just added me as an authorized user. And since we've combined finances as a married couple, it really doesn't matter who is the primary account holder anyway, because we're just paying off our credit cards from the same joint bank account. Now, what's interesting about my first denial in January of last year is that I had a credit score of over 800. My credit history was over 7 years old at that point. I've always had a 100% on-time payment history, and I had 13 personal accounts on my credit report. So in my mind, there's really no reason that I should be denied for really any credit card out there, because I've proven that I'll always pay it off. However, as you can see from my denial letter here, in Capital One's mind, what they actually cared about was that those 13 accounts on my credit report were just too many. So to them, I might have seemed like an unprofitable customer who just opens a bunch of credit cards, gets the sign-up bonuses, and doesn't ever really carry a balance, which I kind of am, but that's besides the point. Now, I tried calling Capital One to ask them to reconsider, but another small negative thing is that they don't really seem to have any true reconsideration process like a lot of other issuers have. In the past, whenever I'm not instantly approved for a credit card from other banks, I usually just call them up and then chat with their customer service team and kind of explain why I think I should be approved, and I've actually been pretty successful with that on a few occasions. But with Capital One here, when I tried getting my application reconsidered, it really felt like their decision was final and there was no hope at all at getting a reversal. And honestly, other people online have said the same thing as well. So at that point, my plan B was that I had researched that some people had success getting approved on their second try for the Venture X by just waiting 6 months without any new credit card accounts or new hard inquiries and then reapplying. So I actually waited 7 months without any new credit cards and then reapplied in August that year. But again, I still got denied for the same exact reason of having too many accounts. So then my plan C was to go with the whole player 2 path, because my wife only had maybe like 5 accounts on her credit report at that time, which I figured would look a lot better to Capital One. And that turned out to be correct because, like I said, she got approved instantly. Now, again, your mileage may vary because not everyone is just going to get denied like I was for having too many accounts on their credit report. But still, because this video is going over my own personal experience with the Venture X, I really wanted to try to be fully transparent here that I think Capital One just has some pretty weird underwriting systems in place that can get a bit annoying. So my advice to you guys is to try to get the Venture X a little bit earlier on in your credit card journey if you want this card. That way, hopefully you can avoid whatever I went through. Now, after you do get approved for the Venture X, the next thing that I do like about having this card for over a year now is that the annual credits the Venture X has are easily going to outweigh the annual fee. And so even though this card costs $395 per year, the cool thing is you should be able to get at least $400 in value back from that. That value starts first with a $300 annual travel credit that you get every single year when you book travel through Capital One. And then second, there's also going to be a 10,000 mile anniversary bonus that you get starting on your first account anniversary, which is going to be worth at least $100 towards travel at a value of 1 cent per mile. Now, in year 1 with the Venture X, you do not get that anniversary bonus because, again, you're going to be getting a 75,000 mile welcome bonus instead. But when you take the $300 travel credit that you do get, plus the $750 minimum value of that welcome bonus, and then you subtract the $395 annual fee, that is going to add up to an expected year 1 value of $655. Then in in year 2 and beyond, now that Jackie and I just renewed the Venture X for another year, we did just start receiving the anniversary bonus of 10,000 miles that's worth at least $100. And then obviously there's no sign-up bonus anymore, but we still get that $300 annual travel credit again, and we also got charged the $395 annual fee again. So in our second year and beyond, we're still going to be getting positive expected value of $5. Now, that doesn't really sound like that much value, and I'm definitely not holding this card just to get $5 back every year. But the point here with looking at the way all this math sort of works out with these credits and with the annual fee is that you're essentially just offsetting that annual fee in a very, very simple way. And then all of the other features and benefits you get on this credit card is basically just pure value profit. So for example, the next thing that I really like about the Venture X are all of its spending multipliers, because with this card, you're going to earn 10x miles per dollar on hotels and rental cars booked through Capital One, 5x miles per dollar on flights booked through Capital One, and then 2x miles per dollar on all other purchases. Now, in our daily use over the past year, I'd probably say the 2x on everything multiplier is how Jackie and I end up using the Venture X the most. So Jackie usually uses it as her catch-all card because she really just prefers sort of a simpler setup, and she knows that getting 2x back on everything is a good deal. Sometimes we'll also use one of the Chase Freedom Unlimited cards that we have instead, which earns only 1.5x back on everything, but earning Chase points over on that card does give us access to Hyatt as a transfer partner in the whole Chase points ecosystem, which is one of our preferred ways to use our credit card points. And unfortunately, Hyatt is not found as a transfer partner over on the Venture X. So yeah, sometimes we are okay making that trade-off with earning 1.5x back on that Chase card versus 2x on the Venture X. Now, for the 10x and the 5x multipliers when booking travel with the Venture X, the one thing I do dislike about that, if I'm being totally honest here, is that you have to go through the Capital One travel portal in order to get those higher spending multipliers. So if you're trying to book any sort of travel outside the portal, you're only going to earn 2x back on that under the everything else category. However, this is actually a trend that we're seeing from all issuers and not just Capital One, so I don't want to only single out the Venture X here. So for example, competitor cards like the Chase Sapphire Reserve earn points in a very similar way by also getting 10x on hotels and rental cars, and then 5x on flights only when booked through Chase Travel. And then even the Amex Platinum card only earns 5x back on hotels if you book through Amex Travel as well. So what I have to say about this limitation on the Venture X is that first of all, it's kind of just become an industry standard now on all these premium travel credit cards that we have to accept. But second of all, I do want to mention that out of all the travel portals from the major credit card issuers, Capital One's travel portal might actually just be the best because of two features it has. The first feature they have is free price drop protection, where if you book a flight, for example, through Capital One Travel and then the price drops within 10 days, you're going to get up to $50 in travel credits for the difference. And that process is supposed to be automatic as well, so you might end up booking travel with Capital One and then all of a sudden you get an email a few days later that you got a credit if their systems managed to catch that price decrease. The second feature is that Capital One says that if you find a better price outside of Capital One Travel and then you let them know within 24 hours after booking, they're going to give you a travel credit for the difference there as well. So that's also really cool because let's just say you're shopping around for prices when you're booking something, which by the way, you should always be doing anyway. But if you find a better price elsewhere and then you go ahead and screenshot that, you can go and book with the Venture X through Capital One Travel at that point, get the higher multipliers, and then later on you can call up Capital One to get a travel credit for that price difference. In the past, I've honestly tried to get other issuers like American Express to match prices in their travel portal as well, but have not had any luck with that. And to be fair, I have not actually personally tried this price matching feature with Capital One just yet, but in reading about what other people are saying about it on Reddit, it seems like overall it's been an easy and positive experience. So let me know down below if any of you have tried these features within Capital One Travel and what it was actually like for you, because I'm always curious what you guys think. So yeah, the reliance on the travel portal with the spending multipliers on the Venture X is something that I'm not a huge fan of, but like I said, it's honestly not nearly as bad as the portals from other issuers. And that is going to bring me to the very next thing that I dislike about some of the features and benefits that are here on the Venture X. And that's the fact that Capital One has actually changed or even gotten rid of some of these features and benefits in the years since it launched. For example, that $300 travel credit that we talked about used to be given out to cardholders just as a statement credit that went back to their account after they booked travel through Capital One with the Venture X. So again, because this card earns 10x on hotels and rental cars and then 5x on flights through Capital One, you could essentially earn between 1,500 to 3,000 miles at the very same time as that credit was used every year. But sometime last year, Capital One just changed the way this works. So now what happens is that $300 travel credit is just applied as an upfront discount whenever you're booking travel through the portal. So that means you still get the $300 back from the credit, but now you're not earning those 10x or 5x miles when you're booking travel until after the full credit is used. On top of that, the Venture X also lost a valuable feature within its Priority Pass benefit, which was a restaurant credit that sort of gave cardholders the ability to essentially get a free meal at certain airport restaurants by just having priority pass through this card. So because of these changes and then a few other minor ones that are out there, to me that kind of signals that more changes could come in the future as well. Now again, Capital One is not the only one that's out there doing this, and changes to credit cards is a trend that's not going to go away anytime soon because these credit card issuers do have to make money somehow, and they can't just offer too many benefits if it's not going to be profitable. But what usually happens is that big name credit cards out there are loaded with outsized value when they initially launch to draw new customers, and then over time slowly that issuer begins to just make changes so that way they're not losing too much money. So yeah, just another thing to be aware of that I wanted to point out here. Now, the next thing that I love about the Capital One Venture X that I want to mention here for this video is that even though it can be a really good standalone credit card, it honestly just becomes so much better when you go and you pair it with another very popular card called the Capital One Saver. And putting these two cards together is going to form what's called the Capital One Duo, which has sort of been a credit card strategy that's really grown in popularity over the past few years. So the Saver card from Capital One, which was previously called the Saver One card, is going to be a great no annual fee option that earns 3% back at grocery stores, dining, entertainment, and popular streaming services. But the awesome feature here with this card is that when you have it, along with the Venture X, you can actually convert the cashback earned from the Saver into more valuable miles. That means those categories are effectively turned into 3x miles instead of 3% back. So as a two-card setup, you'd be earning 3x back on groceries, dining, entertainment, and streaming on the Saver, plus then 2x on everything else, 10x on hotels and rental cars, and 5x on flights booked through Capital One Travel with the Venture X. And that's all for the same combined $395 annual fee that's going to be easily offset with the credits on the Venture X. Also, both the Saver card and the Venture X have no foreign transaction fees, so the miles that you're earning here on all these areas would actually be earned across the world without paying any of those extra fees as well. Now, like I said earlier, the reason why these miles are more valuable is just because you can get higher redemption value once you know how to actually redeem Capital One miles with transfer partners. But the one dislike that I have with that is that these transfer partners on the Venture X card are sort of lacking a great hotel option. Compared to Chase, which has Hyatt, Marriott, and IHG, Amex, which has Marriott, Hilton, and Choice Privileges, and then Bilt Rewards, which has Hyatt, Marriott, Hilton, IHG, and Accor, I really just think Capital One does not have the best transfer partner options for hotels because they've only got Wyndham, Choice, and Accor. To me, Hyatt is the best value by far, and then Marriott, Hilton, and IHG also have their own good ways to redeem their points. And yeah, there are some ways to find value with Capital One's hotel partners, but it's really just not as great as those other points currencies. So the way that Jackie and I typically use our Capital One miles is now just by transferring out to airlines instead. Now, when we're flying using those Capital One miles or even any other credit card points, we love to stop in at airport lounges along the way to really just enhance our overall travel experience. And airport lounge access is actually going to be both a thing that I love about the Venture X as well as a thing that I sort of dislike about the card, so I'll explain. The reason why I love airport lounge access on the Venture X is because I think the Capital One lounges are probably the best airport lounges here in the US that people from just the general public can go to by having the right credit card. But then the reason why I dislike them is because there's simply not enough Capital One lounges to go to at the moment. Now, I've been to a couple of Capital One lounges so far, like the one at Dallas Fort Worth as well as the one in Denver, and for both of the times that I went to those lounges, I was pretty impressed with the look of them, how clean they were, the food and the drink options, and even just the overall crowd size versus some of the other lounges out there from other issuers like Amex, which can be notorious for overcrowding. One thing that's kind of unique about the Capital One lounges is that there's going to be a ton of options for snacks and other non-alcoholic drinks that you can actually take with you as you leave the lounge. So even if you're in a bit of a rush, but you can stop in really quick, then I think it's still going to be worth it, honestly, if you want to take something to go. For the guest policies to these lounges, those are also going to be really good here on this card because currently, if you're a Venture X card holder, you can bring up to 2 free guests per visit. And even if you're only an authorized user like I am, you can also bring in up to 2 free guests, which is exactly what Jackie and I did when we were traveling this past summer out of Denver with my family. The same guest policies also apply under the Priority Pass membership that comes along with the Venture X. But again, going back to some of the changes the Capital One could make to this card, I definitely can see them limiting the lounge access for guests at some point in the near future, just because guests could easily lead to overcrowding issues as more and more people get this card. But then, like I said, the overall footprint of these Capital One lounges is just not that much right now at the moment because currently they've got 3 US lounges open at Dallas Fort Worth, Denver, and Washington Dulles, with another 2 on the way for, I believe, JFK and Las Vegas. So they've definitely got a long way to catch up to Amex, who has 15 US lounges right now and counting, and even Chase, who has 5 US lounges and then 5 more on the way. So to me, yeah, I would like to see more lounges that I can visit because I'm not based in a city that has one. But for anyone else who is based in a city with these Capital Capital One lounges or for anybody who flies through those cities a lot, I definitely think the Venture X card becomes a no-brainer to get with all the benefits that it has, plus the airport lounge access, and then all of that is for a very low effective annual fee after those $400 of annual credits are used. Now, if you're not really sure how to actually redeem your Capital One miles properly to get maximum value, then make sure you go ahead and check out this video that's over here on the screen next, because that's going to be a full step-by-step guide I made on how exactly to do that. But as always, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.